Okay, we've been sent another case for evaluation, and let's take a closer look here. And here we can obviously see that we have a digital workflow. So we have our choices are OptiGuide, Digital Guide, and CEREC Guide. I personally would not choose CEREC Guide here with 3 teeth. You'd have to make 3 individual guides. Quite frankly, having looked through the scan, I would not choose DigiGuide here, as I would want the most accurate and verified guide, which would be the OptiGuide. I think it would be worth the additional minor expense to have something like that. The plans here look pretty good. I want to focus on a couple of things that I see here. So my first thing that I notice when I look at this is the ridge contours. So I want us to start taking a look at our bone level, which looks like so, pretty much across the arch. And notice that we have this big hump right here. So when I see that, I think of reduced restorative space, and I want us to start thinking about reducing that bone from a restorative perspective, reducing that bone down to make it more hygienic and more level with the adjacent implants, and that will give us more restorative space here. The other area that I would like to comment on is right here. You can see that this was designed as 28, 29, and 30, which makes us have to bring in 3 individual SSI files, which is not a big deal, but when we have 3 consecutive teeth like that, we can simply call it a bridge in the software, and we can bring it in as 1 file. So just from a design and ease of importing, I would prefer to call this a bridge in the CEREC software to do our virtual wax up. The next area that I want to discuss here is the overall size of the teeth in our virtual plan. So if we take a look at this, and again, I'm not there with the patient, so I'm just making these comments. So there is my buccal contour, and there is my lingual contours, and we can see that these teeth are significantly undersized. Also, I'm not certain that these teeth look the right size. So ultimately, what I'm trying to get at with this particular case is that maybe, and again, this is not saying you have to do this, just my thought process, is maybe we should consider removing this tooth that has this vertical defect and maybe placing an implant instead of right here, here, and here. Maybe get an implant more like right here, a little bit there, so we can have a bigger tooth, and then a bigger tooth here that just gets us contact to right there, allowing us to place this implant right here and graft this area and get rid of this potentially failing issue and this mesially inclined tooth that will have a food trap for us. So that would be one thought process I would have. Certainly the patient would have a great role in determining that, but from a cost perspective, we're still looking at 3 implants and an extraction versus 3 individual implants with small teeth. And then if we were to ever lose this tooth now, we'd never have to really put anything back here because we simply redistribute the spacing. The other thing that I look at here is when I turn these implants back on, we can see that right here we're going to have to do a lot of adjusting to this mesial tooth to allow that sleeve to fit in there, and these sleeves barely fit. So I would strongly consider that. Now the notes did mention that there's some additional ridge augmentation needs to be done. It was undergrafted. Here we can see that this looks pretty good. My question would be, is our margin the right spot, and do we have our 3 millimeters of running room to allow for proper emergence development? Right here, same problem. Again, assuming our margin's in the right spot. I do like this much of a subcrestal placement from a restorative room perspective. And then this one is the one that really concerns me in terms of the apical placement of the implant, because of lack of running room here to develop an ideal emergence profile. So these are the things I would look at in this case. Personally, I would start by considering removing tooth number, let's call it 31 here, and then replanning these teeth virtually, so that way we can get a better idea of where things need to be, and we can take a look at where I think the gingival margin should be in this particular case anyway. So right here, so I would think that would be more along my margin line that I would expect, and then that makes our implant placement need to be even more subcrestal. So just some food for thought here. Hopefully this helps, and then once we have those options considered, then we can make a better view of the plan. Thank you very much.